Welcome to this video on OpenCRVS dashboards and how dashboards can be configured to match your country's needs. OpenCRVS comes with some pre-built dashboards, and these dashboards are built on a product called Metabase. When you deploy your country instance of OpenCRVS, you can find these dashboards in metabase.your-domain. And this is how the dashboards look like. So you have loads of different types of graphs here, a map visualization. This obviously you want to be the map of your country and not the map of Arachaland as it is here. All of these can be changed, and that will need to be done as part of the overall configuration process of your OpenCRVS instance. If you are now running the local environment on your machine, you might notice that Metabase is not running by default. And this is simply because it takes quite a bit of resources to run, requires quite a bit of memory. So we just wanted to have it disabled by default, so you can start it whenever you want to actually start configuring these dashboards. All configuration we recommend is done at the development phase. So even when you can change the configuration of these dashboards when they are deployed, we recommend that all of that is done before the product gets deployed, just so that you can reproduce the same dashboard configuration throughout your different environments. Now let's take a look at how you can start configuring the dashboards on your local environment. So this is now my OpenCRVS local environment. I have OpenCRVS core here, and it's in the master branch. And then I have OpenCRVS Arachaland, but also in master branch. And I have OpenCRVS core currently running here, but I don't have Arachaland running just yet, so I'm gonna start that up first. Here we go. So the first thing we want to do now is to go to the packages/dashboards directory. Now in this directory, there are some files that are related to Metabase, like Docker files and whatnot. And you also have a package.json file. And in this package.json file, we have defined a start. So let's go ahead and run that one. The first thing that this script does, and you might have already noticed that I have a metabase.yar file here in my directory. So the first thing that this script does is to download that, and that is essentially Metabase that we'll be using in the local environment. And it's git ignored by default, so you are not supposed to be committing this to your version control. In a minute or so, we should be seeing Metabase starting up. And once it has started up, maybe it's already running, we can go ahead and open Metabase up in a browser window. And you can find Metabase by navigating to localhost 4444. So when Metabase has eventually launched successfully, you should see this type of a view. So this is the Metabase login page. And as for the default credentials, you can find them in the README markdown file of the dashboards package. So the username is user@opencrvs.org and password is Metabase with a 3 instead of the first E. And here we go. Now we are logged in. The absolute first thing that I recommend you do is change that password and the username as well to be something else. And this is just so that when you deploy OpenCRVS, no one can use these default credentials to log into Metabase. Of course, we recommend never to have OpenCRVS available in the public internet. So let's navigate to the admin settings of Metabase. You can do it from here, from the top right corner. From here, you can find people in the header bar. And this is where the default credential is. So just go ahead and change this to something else. I'm just gonna change this to Riku@opencrvs.org, update, and I can also reset the password. Yes, I want to reset the password. And I'm gonna change it to be something else. And this actually recommends a temporary password for you automatically. So you can just take a look what it is and maybe store it somewhere in 1Password or some other password management tool. Then you can click on done. Now, at this point already, we have done one modification to the dashboards. We have now changed the default user credentials. So I think this is a good place for me to show you how exactly do you then take these customizations and store these in the version control. The only thing really you need to do is in the window where you have Metabase running, after you have made all the customizations and changes that you wish to do, the only thing you have to do is to shut this process down. So in the window where you had yarn start running, you press Control and C. And this is how it should look like. So Metabase shut down complete, after which it should say saving database something 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 to a database file. And what this means is that you are effectively creating a new version of this metabase.init.db.sql file. This file is what is used to initialize Metabase. So the first time you deploy Metabase, this is from where it gets all the configuration for the users, for the dashboards, for the questions, and so on. But pay attention here. It only is used the first time when Metabase gets deployed, meaning when it does not have any data whatsoever. On later deployments, Metabase has already been initialized, so this file is not used anymore. But if you do want to override all of your data and configuration you have in Metabase and again reset your Metabase using this file, then you can log in to your server and delete the Metabase data files. The instructions for this are in the OpenCRVS documentation, but this should be done with extra caution and never be done in production environments. Now, it might be tempting to commit this file, but remember, we are in the OpenCRVS core directory, and this core repository is something that we recommend never to be customized. So you can take this file and put it into the Farageland, or in your case, OpenCRVS, your country directory. You can find the matching file from infrastructure, Metabase, and metabase.init.db db.sql. This file is identical to what we had in the OpenCRVS core, so you can go ahead and change the contents of this file to match the saved contents of our new file in the core. Easiest is probably to remove this file altogether and then copy this file and place it in here. Here we go. And this change you can now commit. The next time you deploy, you should see that the credentials have indeed changed. If the user credentials are not changed after you deploy, then you might need to reset the Metabase data folder as discussed earlier in the video. So let's take a look at how you could change the map used in the map visualization to be the map of your country. So first and foremost, you have to get a hold of a GeoJSON file, GeoJSON representation of your country. I have one here that is of a imaginary country called Futuria. I have used geojson.io service to create my map, and it looks like this. It's again an imaginary country in the middle of an ocean. Now that I have the JSON, I can use this and find the other GeoJSON file that is currently used in the country config package. Metabase under the hood actually uses an endpoint from your country config to fetch the features of the data for the map from. By default, in the Farachaland config, the file is called farachalandmap.geojson, but you can rename this file to be whatever you want, as long as you remember to also change the code that fetches the files and serves it from an endpoint, so that you can find, it's called GeoJSON handler. You need to change this file path as well if you do that. But I'm just gonna change the contents of this file. And after I'm done with that, I am gonna restart my country config package. Now that my country config is running again, I'm gonna go ahead and start my Metabase dashboards up again. So I'm gonna go to packages and dashboards and run yarn start. And now that I have Metabase running again, I can log back in. And let's go ahead and first look at the admin settings again. In the admin settings, you have a page called Maps. This is the page where the actual map URL is defined in. And in here as well, if you change the endpoint handler of your country config package to say something other than Farachaland, remember to update this URL as well. But now, as I didn't do that, I already see that my map visualization is now available in Metabase. Now if I exit the admin panel and go to dashboards and registration dashboards, we can see that the map was indeed changed in the visualization. Notice that you can do whatever changes you want to the dashboard, and all of these will persist when you shut down Metabase the next time. So you can change the dashboards, you can add more questions, you can reorder the questions in the dashboards, or you can change the titles of the dashboards. Now we can go ahead again and shut down Metabase, and it creates us a new snapshot of our database data, which you can put into your country config and deploy. That's how easy it is to configure the Metabase dashboards.